All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right. Looks like everyone's here. We have a full class, so appreciate everyone's attendance today. And as usual, here's our objectives over here. This is a follow-up from yesterday's lesson where we're talking about speaking, and now we're going to be focusing on listening. And something we're going to do a little bit different today. I'm going to show a video from a person or a man named Julian Treasure, who spent a lifetime in improving listening skills. And so we're going to take a look at some his advice and take a look at how we can maybe incorporate this into our class and our session while learning a language, how we can improve our listening so we can get better and more proficient at the target language. So we're going to identify 5 listening exercises that he suggests in improving listening, and we'll take some time throughout the class in the group exercises later to be able to talk about that. We're going to ask you, each member within the group, to demonstrate your understanding of unconscious listening filters. That is, we'll get some information from Julian Treasure through his video, and different filters of things that we do that unconsciously blocks out listening, and what we can do to become more aware of that and make some improvements there. Then we'll talk a little bit later at the end of class. We have another minimal pairs exercise for homework tonight, and so it's relatively short exercise, but it's one that's going to help us continue to be able to help us with our pronunciation. And so we'll talk a little bit about that later. So remember last time we talked about communicate, and we were speaking, lesson yesterday on speaking and how we communicate. So can we get some feedback here, just some of the ideas and thoughts we were talking about on communication yesterday? Correct, we get communication through media is a source, and that can be obviously radio, TV, internet, various different forms of media, and how we can get some information there. And so we can communicate. And so this can be either a one-way communication or it can be two-way communication. So obviously there is, through, especially in the internet, there's typically a lot of ways that you can respond and to be able to leave feedback for other folks on your opinion on that piece of dialogue. So other ways we talked about, correct, body language. So it doesn't necessarily, communication has to be verbal. We can sit there and show, for example, different postures, meaning folding arms. Everything typically means closed off. So there is different ways that we can express ourselves, whether we're happy or whether we're sad, or different ways of communicating through body language. Other ways, written. Okay, correct. So we can write a letter to somebody, we can write a text, we can write, that's right, texting. We can, that is used a lot today, texting, to be able to communicate with people. So there's a written form of texting, and don't forget what our focus is on today is correct listening. So we're going to get in a little more detail talking about how we're going to break down listening and how we can perhaps suggest some exercises from Julian Treasure on how to improve our listening skills. And so currently, how do we listen? And so, right, so we have ears to hear, other ways of listening through knowledge, which is an extension of, so we're for understanding. Right. So, and listening is important for us for other things we talked about yesterday in communication for pronunciation. And we're going to talk a little bit about that from a follow-up of the exercises that we did yesterday. Let's do that right now. Remember the minimal pairs that we had and how some words are very similar in sound and sometimes very difficult to understanding. So we're going to have to really improve our listening skills so that we can better understand these in vocabularies when people are speaking to us. So remember, the words, while they may look very different, sometimes in a sentence they may sound similar. And so these are some of the ones that we identified as a group that we were a little challenged with is in separation. And for tonight's list I have some additional words that we'll go over later. But for now, let's just review these ones that we were working on yesterday. Ferry and very. Ferry and very. So the ferry crossed the ocean. I am very happy to see you. Fan and van. Fan and van. I use the fan to cool off. I use the van to move furniture. Leaf and leave. Leaf and leave. The leaf fell off the tree. I leave for my holiday tomorrow. Safe and save. Safe and save. It is not safe out there. I save my money. And I want to save a lot of money. So, alright, so those are the minimal pairs that we went through yesterday. And so it sounds like everybody's able to help pick up those differences and make some improvements. And later we'll be doing some exercises as a group and individually. And we're going to use some different technology to be able to help us with this. Linked up or found a website that is pretty good that's going to help us to be able to make some separations of those words and become more familiar with on the sounds and how to break those out. So the other part of what we're going to be doing in part of listening is another sentence that we've used in speaking previously, and this makes me think that. And so we're going to fill in the blanks. So as we listen to Julie and Treasure's video, we're going to ask everybody to be taking some thoughts and some notes to be able to help identify in your groups that we'll break into this statement, and each student will be able to, or will be filling in the blanks of this sentence. So for example, this makes me think that listening is good. This makes me think that I can improve my listening skills. And this makes me think that Julie and Treasure has spent a lifetime listening and is able to help others improve their listening skills. So those are some of the things that we're going to be doing today. And we will then move on to the instructional section of this day.